Greetings and blessings, butterflies. Welcome back. I'm Themis Dear Moore, and we're here again with another Fragments Before Flight reading. Here at Fragments Before Flight, we explore the emotional triggers, behaviors, and patterns that may show up along our path that create blockages and may um, deter us or get in the way of us trying to achieve our, highest desires. So my butterflies, have a few minutes before I have to continue with cooking. So we're gonna try to do a quick one. Um, we're gonna use the Crystals Vision deck and also the Shadow Work deck. I try to do another setup. I hope you guys like it, so I could be able to do more on camera, so you all can see me, my hands moving and things like that. So I hope it all works out and you all enjoy the read. So here we go. Hope everybody's been feeling good. Keeping the positive energy going. Make sure you guys check out the crystal, the daily crystal inspiration message from earlier. The message was the crystal for the day rather was black tourmaline, which is about protecting your energy, as you all know. So let's be mindful of that, my beautiful butterflies. Let's be mindful of our energy and make sure that we keep it protected. So let's see what card we have. We have the Seven of Pentacles. Hope you guys can see that. And the shadow work card that we're going to have to go along with it. I'm going to pull them both now so I can see how I'm going to tie them together for this before flight. Hope my music isn't too loud. I have my reggae playing in the background. I'm a huge reggae lover. I love music, just period. But right now, I've been on a reggae vibe. No matter what you see me posting down the feed, what I'm personally listening to more regularly is reggae. The card we have is inconsistent. It says, think about if your thoughts, actions, and routines are inconsistent. Does it serve you well on a daily basis? There we go. Okay. With the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. On this card, she seems to be holding on to a harvest. Things that she's gathered up her, intentions, her hopes and dreams and wishes, and she's holding on to them. It's because they like fruit. And as you can see, there are two pentacles behind her, one pentacle in front, and four pentacles hanging off of the branch of the tree. Now, trees are always about growth of abundance. It's about stability and strength. It's about roots. So she's planted some I'm trying to say stop saying so much. She's planted roots in everything that she has done. This is pinnacle energy. So this is about earthly things, tangible things. Traditionally, this card is giving me the energy of bounty, a bountiful harvest. And when I couple this with the inconsistent card, spirit may be asking us, is there anything about our abundance, about our harvest that is inconsistent in our approach to it? Now, inconsistency can show up in a lot of ways. Um, Inconsistency can show up as, feeling insecure because the energy that you're getting from, someone or something doesn't match the investment that you have put in. Okay, first let me backtrack and start off with the seven. Okay, um, the lady here in the card, her sitting underneath the tree gives the impression that she's waiting. So this waiting can mean that she's being patient. She seems to be looking at the fruit in her hand. So that can be seen as assessing a situation. Now, with Pentacles, Pentacles are all about slow, growth. It takes time. Anything on earth takes time. So anything that she has invested is going to be a slow growth. Now, when we stand back and we look at what's being planted or elevated in our life, or looking at the progress, we are deciding whether or not to keep nurturing, or whether or not we need to, change course or course correct. Spirit wants to remind us that not all of our seeds sprout overnight, which is, the energy of seven. But also, we still have to work. On the traditional Seven of Pentacle card, the man is putting in work. So we still have to put in the work. We have to remain consistent if we want to continue to have our flock. And it's mighty, I wasn't even looking at the word inconsistent when I was thinking about, when I said the word consistent, but it ties into being inconsistent. So yes, I'm agreeing that this is the message that Spirit wants us to have, is that whatever we're harvesting, whatever we're investing in, Spirit is asking us to take a close look at, does it serve us well on a daily basis? Is it aligning us with what our future goals and, dreams look like? Are we diligent? Are we being consistent in doing what it takes to achieve these things? Now, speaking again about inconsistency, we don't want to be in our on and off energy. We don't want to, be unpredictable or have mixed signals. We don't want to be unreliable, whether that's as parents, as partners, as employees, as, siblings or child, as a parent-child situation. We don't want to come off as inconsistent towards whatever it is on our path. So we have to be sure and slow down. We have to be mindful that we have been investing our time, our energy, and our emotions into whatever it is. We have to be mindful that whatever it is we're investing in, we have to be mindful that it is in alignment, that we are going after the best results, and that this commitment is something that we can see as being steady, no matter what it is that we're committed to. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It doesn't have to be a job situation. It could be, committing to a hobby. It could be committing to, going to the gym. Whatever the commitment is, are you correctly investing your time, my beautiful butterflies? Are you protecting your energy in this commitment? Are your emotions intact when it comes to this commitment? Because, it's like when you water plants, and I love to use analogies. It's like when you water plants for a couple of weeks. Then you forget about water in the next 2 weeks, and trust me, I've done it a lot. But I'm working on it. We always know that, the potential is there. That's the reason why we're watering the plant. But if we don't, develop a schedule, get a routine, be consistent with it, then we risk, our growth stalling. The plant, doesn't get the proper nutrients. The plant ends up, being overwatered or underwater, and it ends up dying. And that's the same energy that we need to apply to the things that we are doing. Now, in terms of our self growth, we have to be mindful of the momentum, because we can't build momentum, if our actions are all over the place. That's correct. If we have to be consistent in our small steps. before we can, even think about beating the rare big steps that we might come across, that might come along our path. We have to keep track of where we start things at, and we have to remember, to always follow through. And if you've been a procrastinator or the type of person who doesn't have strong follow through, that is something you need to look at. That's something that you need to get disciplined about, my butterflies, because that's where your harvest is stalling at. That's the reason why your harvest is not thriving. It's your inconsistency, my butterflies. We got to be consistent on our shadow work as well. So that's when being honest with yourself about your inconsistencies, about what areas you may be being inconsistent and not bringing in what you're trying to harvest, or your harvest, dwindling or leaving, is by, making sure that we do the shadow work. The work is always important. I'm going to keep on screaming it, because we can't stay in toxic positivity, just believing that, that as long as we just feel good and think good, that things are going to happen for us. That's not how it works. We have to do the work along, the shadow work, along with having a positive mind frame, along with, going inward to create our reality. So any forms of inconsistency can be rooted in a fear of you committing to the actual thing. You could just be fearful of committing to it, my butterflies. You could be fearful of failing. And those kind of things will cause inconsistency. So you need to do shadow work around that and recognize if that is something that, is a part of something that you need to work on. And sometimes, and yesterday we had the card, of self-sabotage. And this ties into the shadow work. I feel like that message applies too. So if you haven't seen that one, make sure you go back and check the African Goddess Rising reading. And that card of the day was self-sabotage. Sometimes, my butterflies, we self-sabotage by not giving our full effort. Effort is needed. So if it fails, we can say, I really didn't try, instead of, us really just taking a risk to find out. So, we'll psych ourselves out of doing what we need to do. And we are on this spiritual path, my butterflies. All of us that's here, all of us that are listening to these messages, all of us that are, doing the work, we're on a spiritual path. And so sometimes spirit is going to test us. It's going to test our devotion. It's going to ask us, it's going to see if we are still willing and ready to show up, even when the results aren't coming in fast enough, even when those results aren't instant. Because we have to understand that faith without consistent, aligned action is just you're daydreaming. You're not really manifesting anything. You're sitting around daydreaming, head in the clouds. So my butterflies, we need to ask ourselves, am I expecting my harvest to just blossom and flourish, and I'm half stepping? I'm not really putting in all the work. And in other cases, we got to ask ourselves, in what ways have I been patient? And in what ways have I been avoiding responsibility? This message applies to whatever area in your life where you are looking for your harvest, or where your harvest may seem to be inconsistent, my butterflies. So before I leave with this message, I really want to give us all an affirmation, or maybe two, that we can take along with us. But like I said, we have to do the work along with these affirmations. That shadow work is important, that awareness is important, and staying committed to your spiritual path is important. The affirmations are just affirming that you're doing all of the rest of the work. So don't affirm something that you have not worked on. This affirmation is, I choose to show up for my growth every day, no matter how small the step. Every day, make that choice. There is power in your choice. That's the reason why we have free will, because that is true ultimate power. Anytime you think you don't have a choice, anytime you think you're stuck or stagnant, or life is being unfair, you are giving up your power. You are giving away your power to choose. The second affirmation I want to leave us with is, I release what cannot match my effort and my energy. So let's talk about any of those inconsistencies that you found out about yourself, any of those ways that you procrastinate or stop yourself, you know what I'm saying, or talk yourself out of it. Any of those, that is what you're talking about releasing, because it's not going to match whatever efforts you're trying to put in, and it's not going to match the energy of what you're trying to manifest. My beautiful butterflies, I hope this message helps to, heal us all. It's a very powerful message, if you ask me, because I'm sure in whatever area that we may look at in our life, we are trying to harvest. We're working on something. We're all working on something. And those two of pentacles that's back there in the background, they're within our reach. We're on our way to 10. But we got to remain consistent in our efforts. We got to remain consistent in our thoughts. Those thoughts got to remain consistent. They can't be all over the place. Your schedule, your discipline, your routine, it needs to be consistent, my beautiful butterflies. Actions that you're taking must be consistent. If there's something that you are doing that's not serving you on a daily basis, it's time to release that. It's time to get rid of that. You no longer need that along the path that you're headed down, which is a beautiful one because you're trying to do the work. Okay, my butterflies, I'm going to end this reading right here. I'll probably be back up later on to probably drop some angel messages or maybe a financial read. I haven't decided just yet which one I'm going to do, but I will be back on later. I'm going to go now and cook my cornbread, and I will talk to you guys at another later time. And like I always say, my healing is your healing, and your healing is mine. So let's transform together. Welcome to your metamorphosis, butterflies. And until next time, you all have a blessed, safe, loved, and consistent rest of your day.